Hello and welcome to the Here We Grow Show, a show specifically designed to bring together community leaders making a difference and share financial strategies so you can plan for and live the retirement lifestyle you've always dreamed. Your host is Amazon bestselling author, president, and founder of Foguth Financial Group, Michael Foguth.
Hi, I'm Michael Foguth. I believe in educating you about information that matters to you and your retirement. Join me this week and every week as we welcome today's leaders in our community, as well as experts in the field of finance and retirement to discuss topics that matter to you today. These discussions can help you make better financial decisions so you can plan for and live the retirement of your dreams. Well, folks, thanks again for tuning into the Here We Grow radio show. My name is Michael Foguth, the president and founder of Foguth Financial Group, and your host for the Here We Grow radio show each and every week here. And I'm excited because this week is something that everybody is going to experience or already has experienced, and it's talking about home buyers. And USA Today just did an article the other day that was topic and title was, "Which projects should new home buyers tackle first?" And again, this was a USA Today article, and the reason that I think it's a good time to talk about this is because later we're going to be talking about some home developments and stuff like that with a local developer, but I had the opportunity to contribute to the USA Today article. So for those of you out there that read, you may have already read a lot of this information, but I want to give it to everybody out there in our listening audience. And again, this is on our website. You can share it with somebody if it's your children, your grandchildren, maybe a loved one that you know is getting ready to buy a home, or they've recently bought a home. This is something you can share with them. And really the reason that this is such a hot topic right now is all of my buddies that are in the real estate or the mortgage industry, the business over there is just booming right now. And in my opinion, it's really booming over there in the home industry, if you will, is because interest rates are so low. And I know we've talked a lot about interest rates being down and what that means about saving money, but interest rates being so low is a great opportunity for people to refinance their home or to buy a new home. And so I wanted to really go over some of these tips and make sure when you're making the renovations for your home, or maybe you're at the stage of selling your home and wondering what improvements you should make to increase the equity in the home. So let's take a step back. Let's look at some of these guidelines, if you will, of things that are do's and don'ts for a new home buyer or a first-time home buyer to really make sure that you're taking advantage of building the most amount of equity in your home. And again, existing home, maybe you're flipping a home, whatever it may be, these are good things to be able to do when renovating your home. So first thing is we want to look at is how do you add equity? What you really want to do is stay away from things that are expected. All right. So what do I mean by that? A new floor, right? If you have carpet down or if you have wood floors right down and you just redo them to about the same, but they're new, you're not getting a lot of equity there. It's kind of like having a roof on your house, right? If you're like, oh, well, this roof's only 15 years old and it's got a 25-year life, but I really want to get a brand new roof, you're not going to get the equity of putting a new roof on your house. And now why is that? Well, it's pretty simple. When somebody comes into your house to buy it, they have an expectation that you have a roof on your roof and you have, some type of flooring on your floor. So by just changing that type of flooring, unless it's a huge upgrade in your different price points, but for most people putting a new floor or new roof on, you're not going to get a ton of equity into your home because they're expected. Now, if it's really bad and there's holes all over in your carpet or your roof's leaking, that's a different story. But what I mean by this is if you have reasonable flooring in a good roof that's, not outdated or, problematic, then replacing those things or redoing them are not going to give you a ton of money. Some of the things that will give you money, and we're going to break these down here a little bit, but I just want to kind of give you the do's and don'ts right out of the gate. Some of the things that you can do, I call them the wow factors, right? Where do people spend the most amount of time in your house? It's the kitchen and the master bathroom. And so these are two areas that if you redo them, maybe if you upgrade them, maybe if you bring in these new appliances, maybe if you bring in better countertops, paint the cabinets, new tile in there, new shower, all of those things. Those are the wow factors that you typically are going to be able to get your return on your investment. And you're going to be able to get that wow factor when somebody walks into the house and they're going to say, wow, that's a really nice kitchen. I really can see myself cooking in here. Or, wow, that's a really nice master bathroom. I can see myself, coming in here and getting ready every morning. So those are the things that you really want to pay attention to. And the last thing that's always going to add money to equity in your home or to be able to build equity is adding square footage. Now, obviously, when you hear adding square footage, you think of, okay, I'm going to build a pour a foundation and maybe put in new walls and all these other things. And yes, that will add square footage. But the easiest way for a lot of people to add square footage is look at areas of your home that you are not using for living spaces. Maybe it's too big of a walk-in closet, or it's an extra room over here that nobody's using. You can take that square footage and turn it into something that is actually useful inside of their home. Maybe it's garage space that you can finish off part of it. There's a lot of different Four Seasons, or all of these different areas that you're able to finish, if you will, or add square footage will make a big difference when it comes to selling the home. So again, those are just a few items of the do's and the don'ts. And really what we want to make sure, and we'll take a quick break here, but when we come back, I want to be able to talk to you a little bit more about some of the maintenance projects and the broken things and the things that should be done and tackled and necessary if you're going to be selling your home, or you're looking at selling your home, because people are going to want to look at these things, or they may come up in the inspection. So don't go anywhere. We're going to come back with some great financial tips that you can put into your home to make sure that it is the most equity builder for you and the greatest opportunity to sell. So folks, don't go anywhere. We will be right back on the Here We Grow radio show. Well, welcome back to the Here We Grow radio show. And just before the break, we were talking about the do's and don'ts for home renovations. And again, later on in the show, we will actually have a local expert, Steve Gronow, with the Chestnut home development team. And Steve's got some great tips, and we'll go a lot more deeper. But this, again, what we're talking about right now, early on in the Here We Go radio show, was a USA Today article that was recently published and came out about which projects new home buyers should tackle first. And so let's jump back into a few other things that you can really look at from a maintenance standpoint that, again, if you're looking at buying the home or you're wanting to build equity over time, one of the easiest things that you can focus on are things that are broken. I know sometimes when you live in your own home, it's like, well, I know to open up the drawer a certain way this way, or close this cabinet a certain way because it's yours, and you just know that it may not be functional 100%. But looking at ever selling, people are going to want those things to be fixed and to be 100% good. So look at areas around your house right now that I would call maintenance projects. Maybe it's a broken garbage disposal. Maybe it's painting a new wall. There's scuffs, there's dings, the trims, this or that, the doors, whatever it may be. It's a great opportunity to look at tackling those necessary items, is what we'll call them. And really, at the same time that you're looking at it, is look at system upgrades, things that should be prioritized, that should make your home maybe more energy efficient. And what do we mean? Well, if you're going to go around and change all the light bulbs because they're dimming or they're flickering or whatever it may be, instead of just putting in a regular light bulb, look at a high efficiency. I mean, it's a big deal when people are looking around at homes and they want to know what the average winter bill is, or maybe you're going to be looking at fixing some windows. Make sure it's energy efficient. You're upgrading your appliances, energy efficient. These are going to be things that will go a long way. Again, people are going to expect them, but if you can have an upgrade on them, it's really going to show that you care about your house and that you've maintained your house over the time. So other things that you can look at on upgrades, any electrical, if you're redoing things, maybe it's a new switch or one of the dimmable ones, or if it's plumbing, if you're redoing it, and getting all these things upgraded or into the 21st century, because if maybe you have an old home or you've purchased a older home years ago, you're getting ready to sell it, having some of these upgrades will bring the buyer a lot of peace of mind. Your HVAC units, right? Your heater, your furnaces, your air conditioning, your ducts, all of these things, again, having them upgraded or recently serviced. And maybe if you're on a maintenance plan and you go to sell your home and say, look, this furnace has been looked at twice a year, every year since I've lived here. We've changed the filter every 3 to 4 months. We're on an auto subscription from Amazon to get it, right? Those things don't cost a lot of money, but they show the new potential home buyer that you're really caring about this house and you're really making a difference when it comes to doing things inside of the home. So again, make sure when you're looking at these improvements, the inside of the house, there's a lot of things you can do to add money and equity to your home. So pay attention, just a little differences will get you a lot more bang for your buck. So let's wrap up things here on this segment and talk a little bit about the exterior of your home. And, this was one for me. I remember the very first home that my wife and I bought together, we were getting ready to sell it. And the price point of where we were at did not necessarily require a extravagant landscaping or huge curb appeal. Did it look nice? Absolutely it did. But I was talking to the realtor that was selling the house. I was like, hey, I'm going to pull out some of these bushes and put some new ones in, plant all these new flowers and blah, 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 because I really wanted the curb appeal to be nice for someone to come in. He's like, look, Mike, at that price point, it would be nice and it would be wonderful, but there's not going to be a return on that investment. So if you were to go out and, again, at different price points, so make sure that you're talking and you're looking at your exact scenario here, all right? The curb appeal, all of those things, exterior. Make sure that there's no paint chipping, just little things like that. You don't have to repaint the whole house, right? But just make sure at those points. So, if you are at a higher price point, it will be expected that somebody comes up and they have brand new bushes. They have flowers that come up and they have well-maintained, lawn that it's been cut and it looks like it's been manicured each and every week. Like at that high price point, that is an expectation. So if you're going to be selling at that higher price point, make sure that you have those things. Do not take the rules in general for all price points. So let's wrap things up here. And again, these are tips for those of you out there listening right now. These are tips for first-time home buyers, things that you should be tackling to be able to get the most equity out of your home. And here's what I'm going to wrap up with as we kind of jump into talking about hiring professionals, right? If you're looking to get a ton of equity out of your home and out of your work, you need to roll up your sleeves. You need to get these things done on your own. This is an opportunity for you to cash in on what we call sweat equity. If you go out and do a lot of these things that we just got done talking about, but you've paid somebody for them, it's going to be very hard not only to get the money back for the material and everything that you've bought, but all of the labor entitled in there. So make sure if you're doing a lot of these things that we talked about, these home projects, these do-it-yourself list, if you will, now is the time to roll up your sleeves, get the sweat equity done, because I always tell people this, no one is going to get to a point to care about your house as much as you do. So when you do this, take care of it on your own. All right. So as we have, like I talked about throughout this early segment, we have coming up, our next segment is a guest, like I said, who knows a lot about buying and selling beautiful homes right here in both Livingston and Washtenaw County. We're going to be talking to Steve Gronow, who's the CEO of Chestnut Development, licensed builder who's now building custom homes all the way from Brighton to Fenton to you name it. They buy, sell, they lease all types of real estate, commercial, residential. And not only does Steve do all of that, he's also a huge community leader in all of his nonprofit volunteer work. So folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Here We Grow radio show with Steve Gronow.
When times get tough, who do you have on your team? At Focus Financial Group, we win.
We win.
We win.
We win.
We win by helping you.
By helping you.
By helping you. By helping you.
We win by helping you achieve the retirement you've always dreamed of. Clients who work with Foguth Financial Group know they are backed by a solid, experienced, and winning team. It's time to choose your team. Choose the team from Foguth Financial Group.
All right, folks, well, welcome back to the Here We Grow radio show. And again, as we were talking right before the break, we were talking about doing some home improvements and way to build equity and really be financially responsible in doing things around the home. And we talked, and I teased you a little bit about who our guest was going to be on this week's show. And we have the local expert, I call him, the real estate celebrity, Steve Gronow. And Steve, you have a phenomenal story with Chestnut Development and what you're able to do and build in the community. So before we get into all that good stuff, tell the audience, how did you get started in the home improvement business? Because I know it was like literally right out of college, you're just jumping in right into the deep end and going into it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's a funny story. Thanks for the introduction, Mike. I'm not sure I measure up to the celebrity status, but I'll roll with it. So here I am, right out of college, 18. I got married at 19. I was in the auto salvage business. My wife and I bought a little house in Livonia at 7 Mile Pontiac Trail. So I'm running my car rebuilding operation out of the garage on a little building next to the house. Next thing you know, I find out about all these little things called zoning ordinances. And the city of Livonia basically raids us and says, you got to get out of here. You can't do this business in this area. So in a panic, we hit the road, and in 2 weeks, we found a property in South Lyon with a big pole barn on it. And we bought it in 2 weeks. We moved in 2 weeks. Everything happened in 2 weeks. And we started our little automotive recycling and rebuilding business there in South Lyon, something around 41 years ago.
That's amazing. And you're probably an expert when it comes to zoning nowadays, and maybe forced into it. But I know I see a for sale sign or a for lease sign with Chestnut all over the place. So probably, you know, early on they taught you lots about that zoning. And so how did then the real estate, you know, kind of, I guess it really explode from there, because it's something, again, that you see it all over the state, if you will. I know it's not just Livingston County anymore. So how did then the real estate take off for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. So here it is. Here's a real quick snapshot. So we moved to South Lyon. Guess what? The same thing happens in South Lyon a few years later. They say, hey, what are you doing running this automotive business out of this 9-acre farm? You can't do that there. It doesn't comply with the zoning. So finally, I got the message like a knucklehead. I went looking for property. I found a property on Grand River in Lyon Township across from the dump, bought it, 30 acres, went to the zoning board and said, hey, I'd like to open this beautiful automotive rebuilding and recycling company here on Grand River in Lyon Township. And they said, no way, you're not going to be doing that in our township. So I put the property back on the market, and guess what happened? In 1 year, by dumb luck, I doubled my money on the property. And it was more money than I made in my regular business working full time. So I thought, maybe there's something to this real estate thing. And we started buying vacant land and splitting it and putting in little driveways and creating parcels, and learned about perking and engineering and land planning and zoning and land use, and all this time running the other business side by side. So for all this time, real estate has been an amazing blessing in our life.
And that's something that obviously you continue on through today, right? And being able to do the developments and all these other things that have been going on right now. What would you say are some of these guiding principles to kind of take a step back and look at your life? And again, I've had an opportunity to spend a little bit of time with you through, you know, some of the work at Love Inc. and some of these other things going on. And I know your heart is just unbelievable. But would you say are some of your guiding principles that you hold close to you to be able to help you build the business that you have and really exploded to today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you, it's two simple things for me. One is faith and family. I was 43 years old. I had sold my company. I was getting involved in church life, and I'll tell you, I had some very profound moments in that journey. I found Christ in my life, and that was just an amazing turning point. And then you combine that with the old tapes from Zig Ziglar. If you remember that old character, I listened on cassette tapes. There's a series called "See You at the Top," and there's this thing that Zig says. He says, remember, you can get everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want.
Yes.
And I will never forget that. And when you combine that with faith, I think that's all anybody needs to be successful.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. I literally, as I was driving into the office this morning, it was, I was listening to some inspirational stuff, and they were talking about just that give back, right? And to me, it was the coffee, right? So I got a coffee this morning, and I do this every now so often, but I bought the coffee behind me, and it's just that there's nothing in it for you, right? There's zero. I'm not looking to have somebody do this. It's the feeling that you get, right, of being able to help enough people get what they want. The person probably just wanted a simple coffee, right? That's all it was. But I love that in your heart, because, you know, you see that within the community. And I know that you and your wife are involved with a ton of different charities and a ton of different things that are going on right there. So folks, don't go anywhere, because we're going to come right back on the Here We Go radio show. And Steve, I want to jump in, because we could probably spend the next 2 hours talking about things that you have going on. Gosh, I know how many parties you've had at your house and all. Hey, what about the zoning at your house? Do you get the No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Folks, don't go anywhere. We will come right back. We're going to talk about all of the great things that Steve and his wife, Patty, are doing in the community and the different charities that are going on. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
When times get tough, who do you have on your team? At Focus Financial Group, we win by helping you achieve the retirement you've always dreamed of. Clients who work with Focus Financial Group know they are backed by a solid, experienced, and winning team. It's time to choose your team. Choose the team from Focus Financial Group, a team of champions. Focus Financial Group, building our team to be a part of your team.
All right, folks, we are back on the Here We Grow radio show, talking with Steve Gronow of Chestnut Real Estate, Chestnut Development. And again, if you don't recognize his face or his voice, you probably see his for sale signs, for lease signs all over our community, and even hear it on WHMI all of the time. So, Steve, let's jump in. And again, I know that your business is phenomenal, and kudos to that, because you've done a tremendous job, you and your wife, of been able to build something, really, it wasn't just given to you, it was built. So kudos to that. But I know that your heart is really in our community, and to be able to give back to some of these nonprofits and some of these charities and some of these things that are out there. And you got a couple of them coming up right now. Tell us a little bit about what you guys have coming up here in the next couple of weeks or days.
Yeah, three quick things. First of all, if you have never been to a Rotary meeting and you're curious about Rotary, no, it's not a bunch of white-haired men sitting around smoking cigars in a back room somewhere playing poker and drinking whiskey. It's not that. Rotary is full of women, full of young people, and Rotary, the Livingston Sunrise Rotary Club. I'm a member, been there 12 years or so. That's where you're going to find out about everything great happening in the community, and that gives you an opportunity to serve the community. So, for example, it was somewhere around 8 or 9 years ago that Kathy Janego from Love Inc. came to Rotary, made a presentation about what Love Inc. does. I was very struck by her mission, asked her to have lunch, found out more, and I found out that how in the world do you fund an operation like Love Inc.? Well, there was a little dinner once a year that raised about $20 a plate, not a lot of money, couldn't do much. I said, you need a signature fundraiser. So my wife and I, Patty and I, organized the La Concorde de Livingston to benefit Love Inc. The first year we had about 700 people, raised $70,000 or $80,000. The second year we had 1,000 people, raised about $100,000. The third year we hosted it at our home, and we had 1,100 people. We raised about $150,000 for Love Inc. And that event is still going today. We did it the first 3 years on our property, and Patty put the foot down and said, okay, that's enough. I think they can fly on their own now. But Love Inc., amazing organization. You find out about stuff like Love Inc. through Rotary, and that's where you want to come. Friday morning at the Murphy Hotel, we're holding Rotary meetings in the garage at the Livingston County Jail. What a place.
Social distancing, right? That's why.
A lot of social distancing, great
Yes.
people. The second one, you've got to understand Reaching Higher. This is a mentorship program that's in the schools. It's taught by certified instructors, 8 classes in the public schools. Rotary and other nonprofits finance these classes. This is where kids learn how to believe in themselves. Just that basic skill of knowing who you are and how to navigate your way through that complex life of high school, middle school, and even grade school. So Reaching Higher, they are been shut down by the pandemic. We need to support Reaching Higher. I want to ask everybody that can hear me right now to go to the Reaching Higher Inc. website and donate a few bucks to them, because it all runs on money. No money, no mission. Reaching Higher, blessing kids, changing kids, keeping kids from suicide, depression, anxiety, self-harm. It's just an incredibly effective Livingston County homegrown organization. So get yourself involved with Reaching Higher. And the last one, of course, is La Casa. Where would we be without a domestic violence shelter? Yes. We'd probably be without domestic violence. Yeah. But of course, we have domestic violence. We have kids and single moms all over the county that need your help. Supporting La Casa supports them directly. A little sneak peek, there's going to be a major announcement coming up regarding La Casa. We're going to be looking at a brand new facility for La Casa. It's going to be a big capital campaign out there. I'm going to be begging my friends and neighbors and colleagues and business associates for money to help support that program. So stay tuned. You'll be hearing a lot about La Casa's new capital campaign for the new facility.
Yeah, and those are phenomenal. I remember volunteering at one of those through my men's group. We volunteered to do parking at your house. I think that was one of the first times that I got involved with Love Inc. and with Kathy. And the same thing, I remember just hearing that story and that mission. And again, I fell in love, and we dropped everything. We went and had coffee with her downtown Holland. I said, all right, we're all behind us 100%. What can you do? And then it's funny, it morphed into the first Saturday of every month, our men's group does the furniture ministry with them now. It just, one of those fantastic little things, right? You hear those stories and again, a reader of people, whatever it is, but like those 3 missions or those 3 organizations they're doing the things for good and not for some, and again, not that there's right or wrong, but these are some of the La Casa and Reaching Higher in Love Inc. I mean, those are probably, I've had all 3 of them on the show before to be able to talk, about what they have going on and the mission and the strength behind them. So, I got to give you kudos though, because when we start to look at some of these things, I got to ask you a personal question here is, how do you manage your time? All right. So we just got done talking about before the break about this business. And again, the people that see, I mean, you're busy, you're going boom, 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 boom. And then you're getting a phone call of, hey, can you help with this or that or that? What are some things that out there that you can give as maybe a little bit of guidance for somebody that's listening right now that says, because look, I hear it all the time, right? I'm really busy. I don't have the time right now, or this or the other. How could you maybe, guide some people out there listening right now to understand time?
Yeah, you know what, Mike, I struggled with that for years. I couldn't figure out how people could get things done in such an effective way with so little resources and so little time. So here's the heart of it all. It's surround yourself with the best possible people you can find, and then let them line out and let them do what they do best, and expect they're going to make some mistakes. And the first thing you want to do when they make that mistake is say, I'm so glad that you made that mistake, because now that you know what not to do, you'll never do that again. And make a positive, take that opportunity to be positive about mistakes. People are the key. We have an amazing group of people at Chestnut Real Estate, young realtors, mentored by me, that do a fabulous job. We represent a lot of sellers in this county that need to sell their homes, but we also sell commercial property, and that's where the rubber hits the road. You got to know a lot about commercial industrial property to do a good job, either negotiating a lease or a sale or an acquisition of commercial space, which is all in flux right now because of the pandemic. There's all kinds of empty space popping up all over, which presents both opportunity and sort of jeopardy. So navigating your way through all those commercial real estate deals, I'm really good at it. My staff is really good at it. We love to do it. But that key to your question is just, how do you do lots of stuff with, how do you keep your plate so full and keep all those plates spinning without falling off and breaking? It's the people in your circle. Trust them, love on them, take care of them, give them opportunity, and just make sure that you're doing everything you can as a servant-hearted leader to make sure that they're getting everything in life that they want, and you will get everything in life that you want.
That's what Zig was telling you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Never forget those stories.
Absolutely, yes. And so, and that brings me, let's talk a little bit about reaching higher, because I know that you have a place in your heart for that. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're a mentor there to be able to help some of those students. Walk me through, and again, we'll never, ever use some names, but I think sometimes people can really understand a deeper value to what's going on. Do you have a story that you'd like to share with everybody out there listening of this, of an opportunity of reaching higher that really says, look, get involved. Okay. If it's, again, maybe if you don't have the time, maybe you have the money, right? To be able to say, hey, I can help with a check. Or if you're like, I don't have money, but I have time, maybe with the pandemic, your life has slowed down a little bit, you can give back with time. So what would be a story that somebody would really want to say, hey, that's what I want to do too?
Yeah, there's two little stories here that I can relate. Hard for me to relate these without kind of breaking up a little here. So just bear with me. So here's the first story. Remember, it's 8 weeks. When you first walk into the classroom, it's a magical little composition of hand-picked kids by the counseling staff. So the opportunity is put to the staff, and we say, this is the program, this is what it does, who have you got for us? Well, right away, there's 4 or 5 names come right to the top of the list. And these are kids that are struggling with their academics, they're struggling with their relationships at home, they're struggling with some self-harm issues, they might be hanging with the wrong kids. Now they're into a little bit of crime and a little bit of drugs, and you can see where this is all headed, right? And these counselors can see it really clearly. So we want those kids, we want those 5 or 6 kids in that classroom to learn about who they are and how to come back from the edge of the cliff. Then we want 5 kids that are superstars, the captain of the football team, the cheerleading squad, the kids that have a solid life. They've got outside interests like music and drama, and their feet are on the ground. They got a solid family. Everything is good. Then there's 15 kids about in the middle. They're neither here nor there, but they're kind of drifting around a little bit aimlessly. You take those 25 students, you sit them down in a classroom, and you create these lessons. There's 8 lessons in reaching higher. They all have to do with overcoming the shortcomings of self-esteem, and everything from setting goals, overcoming limiting beliefs, changing the script, making good positive life choices. Each session we spend 2 hours with the kids. Part of that's in a small group with 5 kids, myself and 5 kids. Here's this guy. He's a 9th grader. He's in high school. Little guy gets one of the sessions, session 5, fear to freedom. You jump up on a stump and you tell people your greatest fear. This little guy gets up there and he says, my greatest fear is I will never have one friend. And I mean, the room went dead silent, and we got our arms around this young man. We explained to him that he has a lot of positive qualities. By the end of that session, we had a couple of those captain of the football team type saying, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Let's go to the game together. Hey, there's a new movie out. Hey, let's go catch this movie. Hey, how about if you come and join us for a soccer game? All of a sudden, this kid, his life turned on a dime. And so where he was headed, who knows the destruction he could have been headed for. And now his life was changed. It was incredible. And the second one, really quick, here's this gal. She's in 11th grade. She's got scars all up and down her arms, all up and down her legs. And we're asking her, I'm sitting with her. She's in my small group. Why? Can you help me? I am struggling. I don't understand. Would you stay after class and help me understand? And she did. She stayed after. She said to me, no one has ever asked me that question that way before, but the reason I do this is because when I hurt myself and I get pain, that pain is actually an escape from the much greater pain of my everyday life.
Wow.
So can you imagine being in that frame of mind? And so as the class goes on and we reach the graduation point, we are helping these kids to just believe more in themselves, who they are, what they can be, and they are worthwhile. They do have value. And when they graduate, Mike, it's a magical time. You see these kids standing up, looking you in the eye, shaking your hand, speaking clearly. All the relationships are better. Their truancy is down. They've stopped hanging with the bad kids. Their life is back on track. It's nothing short of a miracle. So there's mentoring opportunities. Anybody can volunteer. You're vetted through Reaching Higher. But if you got a couple hours once a week for 8 weeks, once school gets back in session, I would encourage you to take a look at volunteering time as a mentor at Reaching Higher.
Well, I will tell you right now, live on the air, I will volunteer myself to do that.
That's awesome.
That's my calling is women and children, to be able to help them. And I don't know where that's ever come from, but just hearing those stories, and I know the people listening right now cannot see the emotion on Steve's face, and he said it before that he's going to get a little choked up. And I'm telling you that's the difference, right? Of being able to help those kids. So I you know what, I thank you for that. I will get with you off air to connect with you. I will be part of Reaching Higher. That is my promise. And I think it's phenomenal that, you have a business leader, and again, and we talk about this because I know when you're running fast in the business world, it's hard to stop and to slow down and to say, okay, I'm going to stop with this, what I have going on in my life and with my business. And I'm going to just go completely over here and give, not just show up, but to give everything you got when you show up. So yep. I thank you for that. I am excited to be a part of Reaching Higher. I'm also going to challenge myself to show up to one of those Rotary meetings, because I think that's an opportunity to hear a deeper understanding of what's going on in our community with these nonprofits, because we've had opportunities to interview them on the show, or I've seen them throughout the community, of what they're doing, but to really get a better understanding of who they are. So people out there listening, I challenge each and every one of you, go to the Sunrise Rotary Club, understand about those meetings on Fridays. And you heard La Casa, you've heard Reaching Higher, you've heard Love Inc. I know that there's the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, there's special ministries, there's foster cares, there's all of these things. We've done the weather network here in the community. There's just a tremendous amount of opportunities. And we're talking to Steve Gronow, and he is just unbelievably busy at work. And I mean, he's mentoring his young real estate agents and the developers. And for anybody who's ever done a simple home remodel, you know how complicated that can be. This guy's building buildings and commercials. So Steve, an inspiration to us all. I thank you. Any closing words out there for the audience as we wrap things up here today?
Mike, just know that we're living in one of the most blessed communities. Livingston County, our sheriff, Mike Murphy, the county commissioners that we have, the people that give their time, effort to make Livingston County an incredible place to live. WHMI, the radio station, you got amazing people there that do a lot of stuff at no cost to benefit the community. The work you're doing on your Sunday show is great. Just know that we are in a wonderful place. We're in the best county in the state of Michigan, in my opinion. We enjoy one of the highest incomes and the highest standards of living in the state of Michigan. And we need to love on our administrators, our police, our EMS. Our churches are incredible when you're looking at the 60-member churches in Love Inc. alone, yes. The places you can go to worship. There's just no better place to live. So thank you for the opportunity, Mike. It's been my pleasure to participate in your program.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you off air and getting tied in with those things that we had talked about. So folks, thanks again for tuning into this week's show of the Here We Go radio show. And make sure to be on the lookout for the complete episode here on our website, podcast, on all the places, iTunes, Apple, Google, all of those things. If you want to listen to this show in its entirety, please do so. Go out there and download the episode. Steve, thank you so much. Have a blessed day and just keep being who you are and making a difference in this community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Here We Grow Show. To learn more about how we can help you and to get access to the resources mentioned on today's show, visit HereWeGrowShow.com. Also, don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes. Your reviews are the ways we reach more and more people each and every week. If you found today's episode helpful, you can bet there are others out there that would benefit from listening. Thanks again for taking the time to listen. Be sure to subscribe to easily access future and past episodes. Make sure to tune in next week for another great episode of the Here We Grow Show.
Investment advisory services offered through Personal Capital Management, LLC, BCM, a registered investment advisor. BCM and Focus Financial are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BCM but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents.